Hello, welcome back to the Barbecue Network, and thank you for joining me for a review of Caddyshack. Here's this here. Now, I don't really like this style of collecting as much anymore. These DVDs with this style, Warner Brothers has them. They're harder to stack, and I've had this DVD since 2007. I bought it at a used music or movie bookstore in Santa Monica, California. So here's the situation: is the movie produced by Warner Brothers. There's a movie on Netflix about the making of this movie. I'm friends with the maker of that. I respectfully disagree with some of his assessments or research made regarding the movie. I've become friendly with some of the various people from the cast, none of the big people, but some of the smaller character actors and people that ended up being, some very memorable dialogue in the movie. I've done quite a lot of research about this movie, going from just never having really seen it in 2006 or 7 to, where it's at now. Now, some of the stuff I helped uncover is used in the Netflix story about the making of it. But a lot more of what I've uncovered, a lot more about what went on with Doug Kenny, who is the writer and producer of a lot of these early National Lampoon style movies. Um, you know, Suffice it to say, there's a lot more to all the stories. And of course, the young lady that's featured in the movie, that's Michael O'Keefe's girlfriend. We don't ever hear or see of her in recent years, or even after this movie, and there's a good reason for it. There was a lot more to the making of this movie that went on, a lot more excess, as far as drugs, sex, violence, even, that went on. But hey, you gotta crack some chickens over the head to make an egg, or you gotta kill some chickens to make a feast, I guess. So, chickens gotta crack an egg to make an omelet, right? Um, so here's this movie. John Peters produced it, and John Peters produced a lot of different movies through the years. Wild Wild West. Then, ironically, he was going to make Superman Lives, and wanted a huge spider in that, but instead, the spider ended up being in part of Wild Wild West. He made Batman 1989. He had a company with Peter Guber. John Peters was also a famous hairstylist. Warren Beatty played like a somewhat of a character similar to him. Pretty legendary guy, had to be in charge of kind of the mayhem on the set and on screen of this movie. Because you got a guy like Rodney Dangerfield, who just becoming a really famous comedian at that point, in his later stages of life. And then you got Bill Murray. You got to be able to, corral him in, and he's playing this small bit role of Carl. Everyone should probably know his character. He's just hell bent and assigned to go after this gopher. And some of the funniest dialogue is given to Bill Murray, and obviously Chevy Chase, the lead in the character of Ty. Everyone probably should at least know. In society nowadays, this movie's been imitated so many times. 99 minutes long, R-rated. A lot of it's, teenage humor, and then adult humor would be, re-emulated in 80s and 90s comedies, and even 2000s, and even comedies now going forward. Ted Knight, of course, everyone should know from the Mary Tyler Moore Show and other different things. Old white-haired dude playing this, a judge and the head of a country club, and this total racist dude. He's just so fantastic in the movie, and And you can tell. I mean, there's some tension on the set and the way that they play the characters, and it really all works quite well because Rodney Dangerfield and him, they just couldn't stand each other, and the movie's just incredible. I mean, what can you say? It's one of the best comedies of all time. One of the best stories of all time. I really like the story. It's just such a obscure um, story about all this group of caddies and what's going on at this country club. Sounds boring, but you get to know their lives a little bit. There's supposedly an hour worth of deleted scenes somewhere. I would love to see all the different stuff because there's a lot of little story threads that don't lead anywhere, obviously, in the final product. And yeah, I mean, they put the gopher in as a subplot, and it ends up being a big part of the movie, sort of the MacGuffin of the movie. So yeah, I mean, you don't really need to hear the description of Caddyshack. It's just basically about one main character played by Michael O'Keefe, and then how he kind of starts to, be a caddy primarily for this Chevy Chase character, and kind of what develops from there. And you got Rodney Dangerfield being this kind of nouveau riche real estate developer, Al Chernick or something. And he just steals the movie. He goes on to have quite a good career. So, anyway, I hope this is filmed at the right angle. Everyone else that I like from it, Cindy. Oh gosh, what is her name? Cindy something from Tron. She's pretty good in this movie as well. And all the older people do a really good job. Like the old country club people, they have maybe one or two lines here or there, or just extras, and they do a good job of being real offended by the teenagers and being real offended by Rodney Dangerfield, because it's a class warfare comedy, no doubt about that. So that's one thing I'd say about the movie is, well, it's not a sports comedy, it's more of a class warfare comedy. It's about how Michael O'Keefe's from the other side of the tracks. You see it in the beginning of the movie. He's in a Catholic household, children out the yin yang, people, siblings not getting along, and he's his dad's begging him for the tips. Put the tips in a jar. How are you gonna go to college? So you get the idea. They're poor. He gets on a bike and he goes across town to the country club, and the country club's all dank looking, and everyone's all dank there, and so he starts hanging out with all these dank people when he's at work. And Chevy Chase is like the dankest of the dank. He's like super rich, but doesn't ever go to work. He just goes to the country club. So what's his name starts getting that guy as an influence, and also the judge, who's like an asshole, as an influence, trying to say, oh yeah, this or that, I'll give you a scholarship if you play ball or play in this tournament, basically. And then you got Rodney Dangerfield, who's just like the life of the party, and he's like trying to join he's going to join the country club, but he really wants to knock the country club over. So anyway, man, you got a lot going on in this movie. It's a movie I've seen 500 times or more. I can quote it because I can quote it. I ended up becoming friends with some of the people that are in it who say the famous quotes. So it's been kind of a dream come true. So I highly recommend that you check out Caddyshack. There are events planned for the movie for people that are fans of it going forward. We're talking about setting up some kind of Caddyshack convention in the future. But given that these themed movie conventions, they're usually not really done. They're just part of a panel at a larger convention that's more all-inclusive. We'll take what we can get, but we're trying to get some of these classic people back out there to talk about this incredible movie about class warfare, mainly. And we'd love to see Chevy Chase shave off 30 pounds, get out there, and I mean, who's to say Caddyshack reboot couldn't be made without Rodney, with Bill Murray, with Chevy, a shaved down Chevy, 24 pounds. Put it on Netflix, and it's like a new Caddyshack reboot. It would be better in part two. Definitely wouldn't be as good as part one. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying just make some new content, and kind of reverse this legacy of some of the stuff they talk about in the Caddyshack documentary. I don't my friend's takes on at all, but yeah, I respect him. He got this movie made. He brought a book made about the subject, all that. But there's been a documentary made, and I've seen the documentary. I respectfully just don't feel that I agree with the interpretation of events. And that's not to say that I disagree that wholeheartedly, but the making of Caddyshack was a time of absolute debauchery from almost all parties, and drugs and bad behavior was flowing heavily on set and off as the cameras were rolling and as the cameras were not rolling. That much I'm sure we can all agree on. Kenny Loggins does the music. I'm alright. Don't need to worry about me. Why you gotta give me a fight? Why can't you just let it be? I'm alright. And Harold Ramis, God bless him, may he rest in peace. And Brian Darrell Murray, Bill Murray's brother, wrote this because they used to be going to country clubs and working as caddies as children. Very personal story for the Murray family. Very, very, very funny movie. Rodney Dangerfield's standout performance steals the movie. Everyone have a wonderful day. I hope you can rent and enjoy Caddyshack. Hopefully you can recommend if there's a good Blu-ray or DVD of it upcoming. And other than that, I'll be talking about another movie that I'll read later today. Thanks so much. Bye for now.